My sister and I got married at the same time. She married the spoiled son of a cult tycoon. She enjoyed a life of luxury and extravagance. I married a soldier who was often away from home. He farmed the land and supported his ailing mother. Not long after the marriage, her husband died from loneliness. She was caught having an affair. Her in-laws broke her leg and drove her out of the house. I cured my mother-in-law's illness and built a family fortune. My soldier husband got promoted again and again. He became a regiment commander. I became the envy of everyone as an officer's wife. My younger sister saw I was doing better than her. She became jealous while I gathered herbs in the mountains. She hired thugs to humiliate me. Afterwards, they stripped my clothes and pushed me off a cliff. They watched me fall with my spine shattered and skull fractured. She burst into laughter, then questioned me fiercely. How can a motherless child like you live better than me? When I opened my eyes again, it was 1982. It was the time we were set up on a blind date. My sister insisted on marrying Li Shu the soldier. I knew then that she had also been reborn. I secretly rejoiced and let her jump into the fire pit. I'm off to the short-lived one's house to enjoy luxury. As soon as I returned from the blind date, before I could warm the bench, my sister eagerly begged our stepmother for permission. Mom, I want to marry Li Shu the soldier. Stepmother's face darkened as she scolded her in a low voice. No, I glanced at myself adding firewood in the kitchen. Seeing that I didn't respond, she scolded me in a low voice. Lu's family is too poor, so don't be fooled just because he's a soldier. After 2 years, he'll still go back to farming. In the future, he'll be just like us, a stinking farmer. His sickly mother can't do any work, so you'll be the main laborer. You refuse to marry into it and instead choose to marry Li Shu. Have you lost your mind? Stepmother poked Kira Shu's forehead harshly. She then glanced at me in the kitchen before saying more. If it weren't for the life and death friendship between your father and Lin Qing's father, the Lin family wouldn't have taken an interest in our family. The Lin family originally had their eye on Vivi Shu. I begged your father and only then did he agree. He agreed to let you marry Lin Cheng, fearing that her daughter would jump into a pit of fire. The stepmother's lips turned pale with anxiety. Her hands and feet trembled as she threatened Kira Shu. If you dare marry Li Shu, I will sever our mother-daughter relationship. Kira Shu was not at all afraid of her stepmother's threat. She leaned close to her stepmother's ear and whispered for quite a while. The stepmother was half convinced and half doubtful. She stared at Kira Shu for a long moment, then glanced in my direction. Ernie, you must think this through. If anything goes wrong with this matter, your entire future could be ruined. As she spoke, her eyes welled up with tears. You're the only daughter I have and I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you to take care of me in my old age and see me off when I pass away, Kira Shu said with confidence. Mom, you can rest assured. In the future, I'll be an official's wife, and you'll just have to wait to enjoy a life of luxury with me. My stepmother pondered for a while and then called me into the house. I wiped my dirty hands on my apron and went inside. I had seen the two of them sneaking around just moments before. I can guess why she called me Vivi Shu. She lost her mother at a young age and has had a tough life all these years. And now immense wealth has come her way. The Lin family has taken a liking to you as their daughter-in-law. That Lin Cheng is tall, handsome, and comes from a well-off family. From now on, when you marry into that family, you'll enjoy the finest food and drink, living the life of a wealthy lady. If you live well, when I grow old and go to the underworld to meet your birth mother, I'll be able to give her a proper account. As she spoke, she hypocritically wiped away a tear. I've raised you all these years and I've done my utmost to fulfill my duty. A daughter married off is like water spilled. From now on, in your husband's home, you can only rely on yourself. I sneered to myself. She has said all the nice words. She is afraid that if Lin Cheng dies, I will return to my parents' home to seek a living. Now she just wants to block my way back. I've long wanted to leave this home. It's the 3rd year of the reform and opening up. As long as one is diligent, they can support themselves. Besides, the Lin family isn't that bad either. Linen is a reckless and unruly person, but his parents are both of good character. In the future, even if Linking dies, as long as I abide by the duties of a wife, I won't be cast out. I have a better impression of the Lin family and am willing to marry into it right away. However, I still put on a hesitant appearance. Mom, the Lin family is better off than ours. If I marry into their family with nothing, I'll be laughed at. When other girls get married, their families provide the 3 major dowry items. Since I'm marrying Lin Cheng, I shouldn't be without them either, right? I imitated her, pretending to wipe away tears as well. I never had a mother to begin with. If you don't even provide a dowry, not only will the Lin family mock me, but the neighbors will too. If there's no dowry, I won't marry. The Lin family is well off, so let my sister marry them instead. The stepmother is as greedy as they come. It's not easy to get money out of her, but since she wants to cut ties with me, I have to fight for the best possible possible outcome. The stepmother was still hesitating, and Kira Shu, afraid I might refuse to marry, grew anxious. Mom, just agree to it for her. After she gets married, whether she lives or dies in the future has nothing to do with our family. Afraid I might change my mind, my stepmother emphasized again. After marrying Linen, whether you live happily or not, it has nothing to do with us. I nodded. Rest assured, even if I were to starve to death in poverty, I would never come begging for food at your doorstep. For the sake of reputation, my stepmother gave me 3 major items as a dowry: a watch, a bicycle, and a sewing machine. In my previous life, when I married Li Shu, my stepmother gave me nothing as a dowry. Li Shu Gang had only been a soldier for a year and didn't bring back much money. My mother-in-law was often ill, always needing medicine, and I was the one taking care of her. She had difficulty moving and crawled around on the earthen bed, wearing out her clothes and socks, which needed constant mending. Later I had to go into the mountains to gather herbs to save up for a sewing machine. While gathering herbs, I almost ended up as a meal for a grizzly bear. After buying the sewing machine, I would light the kerosene lamp at night to mend clothes for my mother-in-law. I also used the sewing machine to help neighbors make clothes and earn some extra money. In this lifetime, my stepmother, afraid that I wouldn't marry into the Lin family, had no choice but to give me the 3 major items as a dowry. Even though the Lin family had a good living situation and might not need the sewing machine, I insisted on bringing it with me. I'd rather throw it away as scrap than leave it for my stepmother. To save money, my stepmother scheduled my wedding and Kira Shu's on the same day. On the wedding night, I met Lin Cheng. Lin's father was quick-witted. After the reform and opening up, he contracted several coal mines and became a coal boss himself. After graduating from high school in Linen, he spent his days wandering around society. It wasn't until his mother fell ill and was hospitalized out of anger that he finally settled down. He started his own business, opening a dance hall, a video arcade, and a roller skating rink in the city. A young man with long hair, he rode his big motorcycle around town every day, showing off. Carefree and irresponsible, he became a notorious playboy known far and wide. On the day of the wedding, he only cut his long hair short under his parents' pressure. After drinking the ceremonial wine, Linen picked up his luggage and left. His mother-in-law blocked the doorway, angrily scolding him. "Come back here. What kind of newlywed night leaves the bride alone in an empty room?" Lin Cheng didn't even turn his head, his voice filled with resentment. "You wanted me to take a wife and I did. Now you want to force me to sleep with her too, afraid she'll be left alone in an empty room. You keep her company." The mother-in-law shouted at his retreating figure. "Come back here." Overwhelmed by rage, she slowly collapsed as she cried out. I rushed over and held the mother-in-law, shouting at Linen, "If you dare to walk out today, you're dead." I laid my mother-in-law flat, found the small cloth bag, and took out the silver needles to insert them into her body. Soon my mother-in-law woke up. The moment I woke up, my mother-in-law hugged me and cried, "Vivi Shu, I'm sorry. I failed to teach my son properly and I've embarrassed you." Seeing that his mother had fainted from anger, Lynch didn't dare to leave. At night we slept in separate beds. He laid out a makeshift bed on the floor with his quilt, while I slept in the warm, cozy bed. Before falling asleep, he warned me, "Vivi Shu, I'm telling you, I don't like you. I married you because my parents forced me to. In the future, I will marry someone I truly love. I've given you the status of the Lin family's daughter-in-law, ensuring you never have to worry about food or shelter. Just don't get any other ideas about me." I let out a mocking laugh. "Mr. Lin, you think too highly of yourself. Do you believe just because you're handsome every girl must like you? Don't be so full of yourself. I'm the exception. I might as well give you a few words of advice. We are married, and although we dislike each other, we must maintain a superficial peace and not bring shame to the Lin family when you act recklessly outside. You should think more about the Lin family's reputation. The foundation that my in-laws worked so hard to build is envied by many. If you get into trouble and someone catches you, the Lin family will suffer. When that happens, your good days will be over." Linen sneered. "The Lin family's affairs are none of your concern. You outsider Lin Cheng, you try it." I sat up and threw the pillow at his face. "Now that I'm the daughter-in-law of the Lin family, I have to think about the Lin family's interests." Linen caught the pillow and threw it back onto the bed. After a moment of silence, he softened his tone and asked me, "Is that silver needle of yours really that miraculous?" "Of course," I said with confidence. "This silver needle of mine can cure illnesses and save lives, but it can also kill. If someone commits evil deeds and disregards the family's honor, I'll give them a needle and they'll die without a sound." Linen stopped speaking. Only the faint sound of him tossing and turning could be heard. After more than an hour, the sound of steady breathing came from the floor. He must have been frightened by me. I chuckled quietly. "Wait until he falls asleep and I'll fall asleep too." The next day at the dinner table, seeing that Lynch hadn't left, my mother-in-law smiled happily. While cleaning cleaning up the dishes in the kitchen, my mother-in-law secretly told me that since Linen started his own business, he rarely eats breakfast at home. He either doesn't come home all night or treats the house like a hotel, staying for just one night and then leaving. Seeing him at the breakfast table is as rare as the sun rising from the west. My mother-in-law had a difficult childbirth when giving birth to Lynch, and she doted on this son she risked her life for. This has also resulted in Lynching's current unruly and troublesome character. While my mother-in-law recounted her son's past to me, she secretly wiped away tears. Shin, I'll leave the little city in your care from now on. Look, it's only been a day since the wedding and he hasn't gone out to fool around. You must have a way to keep him in line. I could only force a dry laugh. Maybe my threat to give him an injection had some effect. After eating, Lin Chang rode his motorcycle to patrol the city. Before leaving, he reminded me to save some food for him in the evening. When she had a moment, my mother-in-law asked me, "Who did you learn your acupuncture skills from? Besides acupuncture, what else can you do?" "I can perform acupuncture, take pulses and prescribe treatments. I can also identify Chinese medicinal herbs." I chatted with my mother-in-law about daily life. My grandfather was once a Taoist hermit who lived in seclusion. He knew Taoist medicine and mystical arts during the nation's period of war and chaos. They came down from the mountains and followed the main forces in battles across the south and north. Later, my grandfather injured his leg and became lame, so he returned to his hometown to get married and have children. While he was alive, my grandfather recorded all the knowledge he had acquired throughout his life. My mother passed away from illness shortly after giving birth to me. I was raised by my grandfather, who taught me to read and recognize various Chinese medicinal herbs. Later, he also taught me acupuncture and pulse diagnosis. After my grandfather passed away, I returned to my own home. By then, my father had already remarried and had a daughter, Kira Shu. After my father died in a coal mining accident, life with my stepmother became even harder. I was the one who had to chop firewood in the mountains and wash clothes in the river. Even in the snow during winter, in spring I plant the fields. In autumn I harvest. All of it is done by me. Kira Shu munches on sunflower seeds, watching me collapse from exhaustion, and doesn't lift a finger to help. Married into the unfamiliar Lin family, my in-laws did not look down on me. My mother-in-law even shared heartfelt words with me, which strengthened my resolve to live with the Lin family. After learning about my past sufferings, my mother-in-law held my hand, her eyes reening as she said, "From now on, consider this your home. Treat me as your own mother." I threw myself into her arms and choked out the word mom. It had been 20 years and I had almost forgotten how to say the word mom. In the afternoon, my mother-in-law went out and came back to tell me that she had recommended me to work as a barefoot doctor in my parents' village. Over the years, I have been providing free medical treatment to the villages, and I have built a certain level of trust among the people in my parents' village. My in-laws' village and my parents' village are next to each other, so it's convenient for me to commute by bicycle every day. Becoming a barefoot doctor was something I had never even dreamed of. Returning to the bride's family home 3 days after the wedding, my mother-in-law had prepared 4 gift boxes for me in advance. I told her about my stepmother cutting ties with me. My mother-in-law comforted me. "It's her business if she cuts ties. Otherwise, people might think we don't know our manners. After we get back, if she treats you well, stay a bit longer. If she doesn't, both of you come back early." Lin Cheng hung the 4 gift boxes on the motorcycle handlebars and went home with me. Kira Shu and Lai Shu were both there. Seeing us enter the yard, Kira Shu stormed out. "Short-lived devil, what are you here for?" Lin Cheng frowned, glaring at Kira Shu with disgust. "Can you speak like a human? Who are you calling a short-lived devil? One doesn't hit a person bearing gifts. Doesn't your family have even that much courtesy?" I grabbed Lin Cheng and placed the 4 gift boxes he was holding on the courtyard wall. Fearing that this troublemaker might get into a fight with Kira Shu, I tried to smooth things over by saying, "She was cursing at me. Don't be angry." Kiru also took the opportunity to back down. "I'm talking about my sister. Why are you butting in a dog catching mice? None of your business." Lin Cheng grew even angrier. "Vivash Shu is my wife. You're insulting my woman right in front of me. Are you treating me like air?" Kira Shu trembled with anger, not daring to reply. Lu stepped forward to smooth things over. "Brother-in-law, Kirao is straightforward. Please don't take offense." Linen glanced at Lai Shu and said loudly, "Birds of a feather flock together. Your wife has no manners, and instead of criticizing her, you ask us to forgive her. What kind of logic is that? You're a soldier, yet you can't even control your own wife. How can you protect the country?" Lai Shu's face turned bright red. At that moment, someone called out to me at the courtyard gate, "Vivi Shu, the village chief, is waiting for you to report in." Lin Cheng grabbed me and started walking. Kira Shu asked loudly, "Vivi Shu, what does the village chief want with you?" I ignored her. The person delivering the message at the door replied to her, "Your sister has become the barefoot doctor doctor of our village. Kira Shu curled her lips and mocked me. Can the Lin family no longer afford to keep you, and now you're out here being a doctor with your clumsy skills? Don't end up killing an innocent person. I snorted and retorted. You better hope you never need me, or I'll be the one to end you. Kira Shu furious threw the 4 gift boxes I had placed on the courtyard wall to the ground and stomped them to pieces. After a few months of working, a neighbor aunt came to the clinic asking me to go check on Granny Kira Shu. Saving lives is urgent. Without thinking twice, I rode my 28-in bicycle to Granny Kira's house. The house is a complete mess. Kira Shu cried and cursed at the same time. I can't go on living like this, you old fool. Why don't you just die? You're going to drag me down to death. My mother-in-law was also sharp-tongued and wouldn't give an inch. My son married you so you could take care of me. You don't cook for me and you even hit me. They'll report you to the commune. Kira Shu was riding on her mother-in-law, slapping her from both sides. Go ahead and sue me if you dare. I married into your family to be an official's wife, not to be your servant. The aunt who informed me whispered that the old lady was often beaten. After Li Shu returned to the military, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law began to argue. Kira Shu was unwilling to serve her mother-in-law. She also refused to cook for the elderly woman. She would go back to her parents' home to eat. After finishing the meal, she didn't care whether her mother-in-law lived or died. If the old lady went hungry, she would scold her. The conflict between the two gradually intensified. The old lady was not an easy person to deal with. She felt a sense of superiority relying on her son's military service and government salary. She would scold her daughter-in-law at the drop of a hat, and over time the conflict erupted. In my previous life, the old lady wasn't kind to me either. In order to have a home, I had no choice but to endure it in silence. I know traditional Chinese medicine, so I gave her acupuncture and brewed medicine for her, and the old lady's health improved day by day. Gradually, she stopped tormenting me. Kira Shu was spoiled by her stepmother and has no practical skills. She has always been waited on by others, so now having to take care of her mother-in-law, she definitely can't manage it. Seeing me enter the room, Kira Shu got off the elderly woman. Her hair was disheveled and there were scratches on her face. The old lady's face was ashen, her blouse torn and her arms covered in bruises. When she saw me, the old lady burst into tears. Vivi Shu, please help me write a letter to Li Shu and tell him to come back quickly. I can't go on living like this. I didn't agree to the old lady's request. I finally managed to escape the misery of the Li family, and I don't want to get involved again. As I left the Li family, Kira Shu followed me out. Vivi Shu, I'm warning you. Don't meddle in my family's affairs or I won't let you off the hook. I also warned her. If you kill someone, you'll go to jail. Kira Shu didn't take it seriously. I came to the Li family to be an official's wife, not a servant. I sneered. That depends on whether you have the luck to live that long, Kira Shu said with confidence. My husband Li Shu is about to get promoted. Soon he'll be an official's wife. Lin Cheng is about to die and you'll be a widow soon. I didn't hesitate to give her a hard slap. Jinx, if you can't say anything nice, shut up. Kira Shu was about to retort, but upon seeing Lin Cheng coming to pick me up, reluctantly kept quiet. Seeing the two of us walking away, she muttered, "You short-lived devil. In just 3 days you'll be meeting the king of hell." In his previous life, Lin Cheng, while drunk, raced motorcycles with his reckless friends and crashed into a large tree, dying on the spot pitifully. The Lin family parents lost their son in their middle age, their hair turning white overnight. I want to live a long life in the Lin family and must prevent Lin King's tragedy from happening. When I got home, I told Linen to avoid going out and fooling around unnecessarily. Linen was unhappy. "You sound just like my mom, always nagging." "I'm saying this for your own good. You know, besides traditional Chinese medicine, I also know a bit about metaphysics and numerology." Linen didn't care at all. All this mystical nonsense, just trying to scare people. I pointed to the inner pocket of his leather jacket and said, "In your breast pocket there's a small box and inside it is something round. I'm guessing it's either a ring or a bracelet." Lin Cheng was first shocked. Then after recovering, he blushed and pulled out a jewelry box. Inside was a gold ring. He casually tossed it to me. "I found it. You can have it to play with." I laughed. A stubborn mule. The day before yesterday, while I was asleep, he secretly measured the width of my finger with a red string, thinking I didn't notice. Seeing me happily put it on, he started arguing with me again. "You must have seen the jewelry box in my arms." Seeing that he didn't believe me, I pointed between his legs and said, "There you have moles, 3 in total. 1 is black and 2 are red." He instinctively clenched his legs and then scolded me. "A young lady like you talking nonsense. I only have 1 mole and it's black," I told him firmly while taking a shower. "Look carefully in the mirror. You'll definitely find it." Linen indeed went to take a shower, exhausted from the day. I slept deeply and didn't pay him any mind. The next day he appeared at the dining table eyeing me with a probing and weary gaze. In the following days he quieted down. Every day after breakfast he would go to inspect the grounds and return home on time for dinner. After dinner he no longer left, instead helping me organize the medical books left by my grandfather in the study. That afternoon he sent word that he had a dinner engagement in the evening. One of his friends is going abroad to settle down and this might be the last time they see each other. So he gave his friend a farewell dinner. I told the messenger that my mother-in-law was sick and asked him to come back quickly. 2 hours later Lennon returned. Seeing his mother-in-law alive and kicking, he was very angry. Without even acknowledging me he turned and walked away. Taking advantage of his inattention I gently pressed a pressure point on the back of his neck. Lin Chung, and caught off guard, fell into a deep sleep. Early the next morning he stormed out without even saying a word. At noon he came back again looking utterly dejected. When he saw me his eyes re-eamed. Vivy Shu, my friend who went abroad, is gone. He drank too much, rode his motorcycle home and crashed into a tree. He died. As he spoke he hugged me and burst into tears. I haven't figured out how to comfort Lin Cheng yet. When Kira Shu's voice rang out from outside the courtyard. Vivy Shu, come out. Lin Cheng is dead. I bought you a truckload of wreaths and jaws paper. I ran out to take a look. A carriage was parked at the door. The carriage was loaded with wreaths, JS paper, as well as paper horses and paper cranes. Linen rushed over, grabbed Kira Shu by the collar and threw a punch. I'm alive and well and you dare curse me. I'll beat you to death. Kira Shu was knocked to the ground, blood streaming from her nose. Coming to her senses, she suddenly screamed, "A ghost! Catch the ghost!" Lin Cheng was about to hit her. I stepped forward to stop him. The Lin family is thriving and I don't want Lin Cheng to get involved in a manslaughter case. I grabbed Kira Shu and dragged her to the corner. Kira hasn't recovered from the shock of encountering a ghost, she muttered to herself. How is Lin Cheng not dead? He clearly died. I leaned in and whispered in her ear, "You forced me to marry Lin Cheng just to see me become a widow. Now that you see him alive and kicking, aren't you disappointed?" I spat at her. "You married Lai Shu hoping to become an official's wife. Do you even have the fortune for that kind of life?" Kira Shu widened her eyes and pointed a trembling finger at me. You've been reborn too." I raised an eyebrow. Kira seemed to be frightened, got up and ran away. I turned around and told the driver to take all the paper money and wreaths away and deliver them to Kira Shu's home. A few days later Kira Shu's mother-in-law passed away. The wreaths she bought for Lin Cheng were not wasted. They were all used for her mother-in-law. The fortune teller changed the old lady's clothes while shaking his head. The old lady had bruises all over her body aside from her face, which was slightly better. Her arms and legs were covered in injuries. Anyone with eyes could tell she had been beaten. The Li family had an elder who stepped forward to question Kira Shu. Kira Shu argued that the old lady had fallen by herself. Liu was not at home, so no one stood up for the old lady and the matter was dropped. The old lady was placed in a coffin and will be buried tomorrow. I was treating a neighbor next door when I ran into Kira Shu seeing off the elders of the Li family. The elder instructed Kira Shu to send a telegram to Lai Shu asking him to return to see his mother one last time. Kira Shu looked sorrowful. Li Shu is busy with work and I don't want to trouble him. Recently he is about to get a promotion, so I must not disturb his work. The stepmother also accompanied Kira Shu in handling the funeral arrangements for the elderly lady. She shooed the Li family elders away as if swatting flies. All matters of the Li family are decided by Kira Shu. You're already halfway in the grave. Stop meddling. The Li family elder was so angry that his white beard bristled and he stormed off in a huff. After the person had gone far away, the stepmother boasted to Kira Shu, "This time it's perfect. A clean break. You should thank your mother for coming up with the idea. Once old lady Li is dead you can rest easy and be an official's wife." Kira Shu felt somewhat worried. "Will Lu divorce me if he finds out I killed the old lady?" The stepmother comforted her. "Once Lai Su gets promoted, he won't have the mind to bother with such things. Go with him to the army base. Leave this place and no one will gossip about it." Less than 3 days after the old lady passed away, the entire village had learned the news of Li Hu's promotion. Some villagers were envious, some were jealous, and some were genuinely happy for Kira Shu. Everyone said Kira Shu was fortunate as she was about to become an official's wife just after getting married. They also praised her for being a woman who brings prosperity to her husband. Kira Shu was beaming with pride. After Li's mother passed away, she returned to her parents' home and lived with her stepmother. She had been waiting for news of Lisa's promotion. Day after day she waited, but what came instead was the news of Lisa's discharge from the military. Watching Lai Shu standing at the doorstep with his military green duffel bag, Kira Shu collapsed to the ground. After snapping back to reality, she rushed forward and demanded, "Shouldn't you have been promoted married by now? Why did you leave the military? I was waiting to follow you as a military spouse. Saying this, he burst into loud sobs. Lu was in a bad mood and retorted with a grim expression. Who said I got promoted? Are you hallucinating? He craned his neck to look into the room. Where is my mother? Kira Shu said guilty. She passed away over a month ago. We were afraid it would affect your work, so we didn't dare tell you. Lai Shu's face suddenly changed and the travel bag in his hand fell to the ground. Such a big matter. Why didn't you tell me? In an emotional outburst, Li Shu slapped Kira Shu. He rushed into the house like a madman, sobbing and shouting. Mother! The couple's first meeting after marriage caused such a commotion that it disturbed all the neighbors. The official's wife's beautiful dream was completely shattered. Kira Shu became the biggest joke in the village. Knowing she had been proven wrong, she fell seriously ill. She took it upon herself to handle the old lattice funeral arrangements, which displeased Lai Shu, creating a rift between the couple. In contrast to Kira Shu's embarrassing behavior, Lin Cheng and I grew closer. On the third day of the wedding return visit, Lin Cheng stood up to help me, and my impression of him as a playboy began to change. Deep down, he is an upright and responsible man. Since I saved his life that time, he has shown me even more respect. He no longer goes out to fool around. Instead, he stays by his father's side to learn management and operations, making rapid progress. Now his father has entrusted him with the management of one of the coal mines, and he has become increasingly composed and steady. In addition to managing the mine, he also drives me to and from work every day. I want to ride a bicycle, but he disagrees, saying it's not safe for a girl to ride one. I find it amusing, and I'm also touched by his thoughtfulness. Kira Shu couldn't accept the fact that Lin Cheng was still alive. Seeing that our relationship as a couple has become more harmonious, she often gets so angry that she falls ill. Every time you see me, you never miss a chance to put me down. A woman should be at home taking care of her man instead of showing her face in public all the time. Isn't that embarrassing? I don't let her get away with it either and fire right back. I don't have the fate of being an official's wife, so I have to go out and earn money to support myself. If the beautiful dream shatters, not only will it be embarrassing, but you'll also go hungry. My words were like a knife stabbing right into her heart. Kira Shu was instantly silenced. After retiring from the military, Lai Su began farming the few acres of hilly land his family owned. Kira Shu had no job, and the two of them relied on farming, barely managing to avoid starvation. Poverty is the mother of all sorrows for a couple. Their arguments became more frequent and increasingly intense. Even when losing the argument, Kira Shu remained defiant. She tugged at her newly worn geet dress, showing it off to me. I don't make money, but my husband Li Shu loves me too. This is the dress he bought for me. What did Lin Cheng buy for you? Don't be fooled by the Lin family's wealth. They don't spend a single penny on you. On the surface, you're the young mistress of the Lin family, but in reality, you're just their maid. Even maids get paid, but you get nothing. Linen's voice sounded behind her, who says, Vivi Shu has nothing. I am her man. Everything I have is hers, including my life. Kira Shu sneered disdainfully, letting out a cold laugh. Talk is cheap. What have you ever bought for Vivi Shu? She wears the same two shabby outfits every day, almost worn out from washing. Although my family's Lu is not wealthy, he is willing to spend money on me. She was showing off when Lashu came back from the field carrying a hoe. Seeing Kira Shu dressed up so flamboyantly, he was very angry. Did you spend money recklessly again? Did you use the money meant for buying fertilizer? I laughed out loud, clapping my hands as I watched the show. Kira Shu said you bought the dress for her, so she actually bought it secretly herself. A woman who doesn't know how to manage a household like this deserves to be beaten at my instigation. Lu got angry and dragged Kira Shu into the room, walking while speaking fiercely. Take it off. Return it quickly. We can hardly make ends meet at home. Don't you know that? Kira Shu's sharp voice could pierce eardrums. Whether we can make ends meet is your problem. What does it have to do with me? I married you to be an official's wife, but you had no ability and came back after leaving the military. If you can't even support your wife, why did you get married? Lishu was so angry that he gritted his teeth and began to slap Kira Shu's face. I have no love for Li Hu, only hatred in my heart. In his previous life, his promotion was all thanks to me. At that time, I went to visit relatives. Their regimental commander's wife was seriously ill and had seen many doctors without improvement. When I heard about it, I volunteered to treat the commander's wife. Acupuncture combined with traditional Chinese medicine and rearranging her home layout using numerology. Soon the regiment leader's wife recovered. Lai Shu leveraged encouraging the regiment leader's influence, also got a promotion. As his position rose, Licious feelings toward me changed. He looked down on me for having a rural household registration, thinking I wasn't presentable. So he found a young girl from the cultural troupe. After I found out, I went straight to Li Shu. I asked him whether he wanted his career or the young girl. I warned him directly. I can promote you and I can also put you in prison. If you don't believe me, just try. There was no other way. Lu cut off contact with the girl. A rift formed between Li Hu and me from then on. Those wretched matters were never resolved even until the day I died. Kirashu only sees the glamour of the Li family from the outside, unaware of the filth hidden beneath the surface, watching the two of them tussle. I went home with Lin Cheng sitting on the motorcycle. Lin Cheng complained. I buy you clothes and you don't wear them. I give you money and you don't spend it. See, everyone says I'm mistreating you. Tomorrow I'll take you to the city to buy new clothes. Okay. I hugged his waist tightly and nodded. The countryside is dusty. It's a waste to wear new clothes. Tomorrow we're going into the city not to buy new clothes but to buy a house. It won't be long before the area is demolished. Let's aim to buy a whole street. All right, I'll listen to my wife. Lin entrusted me more and more, and he also knew that I genuinely had his best interests at heart. When the time comes, your name will be on all the property deeds. If I die early, you'll have these houses and can be a landlady. You won't starve. I pinched the flesh around his waist hard. Don't talk nonsense. With me around, you'll live to be 100. My relationship with Lin Cheng is getting better and better, and I also told him about my plan to prepare for the college entrance exam. He was very supportive of me. When the college entrance exam results came out, I was admitted to the traditional Chinese medicine program at Jing City Medical University. The village chief said that many fellow villagers wanted to thank me for my help, and they pulled money to prepare a celebratory feast for me. After dinner, as it was too late, I stayed in the village duty room. In the middle of the night, two sneaky figures slipped into the room. I was pinned down by someone and my clothes were torn. Fortunately, I was prepared. Leaping up, I knocked the intruder unconscious and forced both of them to drink the pre-prepared potion. As the potion took effect, the two quickly tumbled together. I blocked the doors and windows from the outside and ran to the village chief's house to call for help. Hearing that there were thieves, the village chief called the neighbors. Everyone carried hoes and shovels. Rushing to the village, the door was smashed open. On the warm, heated brick bed, a man and a woman naked writhed together like maggots. The village chief shouted loudly, "What are you two doing? Aren't you ashamed? You've disgraced the entire village." Lu was also in the middle of the crowd. Seeing Kira Shu hugging the local troublemaker, his anger flared up. He dragged the two off the Kong and gave them a severe beating. The pain jolted the two back to their senses. Everyone is here. The village chief is holding a court session on the spot. The troublemaker confessed everything voluntarily. Kira Shu hired troublemakers to get back at me. They thought I was living alone in the village office and were sure they would succeed. Little did they know I was well prepared. Not only did I escape unscathed, but I also drugged the two of them, making the thugs assault Kira Shu in front of the villagers. I confronted her. "We have no grudges between us and we are even sisters. Why did you harm me?" Kira Shu, naked and kneeling on the ground, was blinded by jealousy. She was incoherent, pointing at me and cursing. "I want you dead. You a motherless child. How dare you live better than me? Lin City was given to you by me. The good life you have now is all thanks to me. Now I want to switch back. Once you're dead, I can remarry Lin Chang'eng, and I will definitely live better than you. We will definitely be happier than you." I sneered, crouched down and pinched her chin. "When things don't go well, you always shift the blame onto others. That's your usual trick. Instead of wasting time envying others, you should look for reasons within yourself. Kira Shu, you've wasted your life." I stood up, curling my lips in disgust and sneering. "Do you think Lin Cheng would want you with the way you are now? If a woman has issues with her conduct in life, she'll be gossiped about relentlessly in the countryside and never be able to hold her head high again. In my previous life, Kira Shu had people bully me, leading to my tragic death. In this life, I'm giving her a taste of her own medicine, making her experience the humiliation she put me through. Even so, it's hard to ease the hatred in my heart." I wrote an anonymous letter to Lai Shu telling him the true cause of the old lad's death. Lai Shu was half convinced and half doubting. He began to inquire among the neighbors and sought information from the elders in the family. There are still many people in this world who uphold justice. They couldn't stand Kira Shu's arrogance and spoke out about her mistreatment of the elderly. Lai Shu was holding back a surge of anger. One day he drank too much and, fueled by alcohol, beat Kira Shu again. The stepmother came to visit and, seeing her daughter being beaten, stepped in to break up the fight. Lu grew even angrier. He remembered how Kira Shu encouraged encouraged by his mother-in-law had caused his own mother's death. He vented all his anger on his stepmother. The three of them ended up fighting together. Liu's eyes were bloodshot as if he had gone mad, unable to withstand the beating. The stepmother cried out to Kira Shu, "Quick, save Mom. Mom is not going to make it." Kira Shu was so scared that she hid in the corner shaking her head. "Mom, it's all your fault for making me abuse my mother-in-law. You deserve to be beaten to death. If you die, Lisu won't hit me anymore." The stepmother was beaten to death by Lisu in this way. Lishu was also sentenced to death. On the day he died, he was paraded through the streets with a wooden sign hanging around his neck that read "Death Row Inmate." Lin Chang'eng drove me to the train station on his motorcycle. "I'm going to take the train to Jing City to study." He saw me staring at the plum tree and started to get jealous. "He is a murderer. You still care about him, don't you? Stop looking or I'll get angry. He seems to know something, but he has never asked me about it." During the winter break, Lin Cheng accompanied me back to the village. I provided free medical consultations for the villagers and he stood by my side keeping me company. After half a year, I encountered Kira Shu again. Her clothes were tattered and she was acting erratically. She lived alone in 2 houses and was often bullied by local troublemakers. The village head said that some time ago she became pregnant and gave birth to a stillborn child. Later, the village authorities stepped in and arranged for her to undergo a sterilization procedure. Kira Shu's eyes lit up when she saw me. She trotted over and threw herself at me, very affectionately. "Sis, Mom wants you to come home," she said. "Someone is setting us up on blind dates. This time I want to marry Lin Cheng. You should marry Li Shu." Lin Cheng pushed her away with disdain. "Get lost now. Even if all the women on earth were dead, I still wouldn't marry you." A concerned neighbor stepped forward, grabbed Kira Shu and escorted her back home. 4 years have passed in the blink of an eye. After graduating from university, I was assigned to the City People's Hospital. A lot has changed over these 4 years. Lin Cheng's career is thriving. He handed over the coal mine to his father-in-law to manage. He established his own real estate development company. He said I helped him earn his first pot of gold in real estate. This made him realize that listening to his wife would bring wealth and prosperity. I just smiled. I merely took advantage of the information gap from my rebirth. After marrying into the Lin family, I kept their kindness toward me in my heart. Of course, I had to tell them about any money-making opportunities. After working at the hospital for half a year, I encountered the village chief and several villagers bringing Kira Shu for medical treatment. She had a tumor in her abdomen, making it look as if she were 5 or 6 months pregnant. Kira Shu was sometimes conscious and sometimes confused. She went upstairs. I went downstairs. Looking up and seeing me, she thudded to her knees on the steps. The hard, cold steps scraped her knees, but she didn't seem to feel the pain. She grabbed the hem of my white coat and pleaded, "Sis, I was wrong. Please give Lin Chang back to me. I'll give Lai Shu back to you. Let's swap back this time. I'm sure I can make it work with Lin Cheng. He tricked me. He didn't get promoted. I can't be an official's wife anymore. I'm not willing to accept this. She's talking nonsense." The village chief said that Kira Shu's illness is getting worse. Sometimes when she's hungry, she eats cow dung by the roadside. And when she's thirsty, she drinks from the sewage ditch. The village plans to send Kira Shu to a psychiatric hospital after her tumor is removed. Everyone in the village knows that Kira Shu and her stepmother have treated me poorly after Kira Shu fell ill. The village chief never once reached out to me. Seeing Kira Shu disheveled and distressed, I feel deeply sorry for these kind-hearted villagers. After Kira Shu was sent to the mental hospital, Lin Cheng and I returned to the village again. Lin Cheng, in the name of the company, donated a large sum of money to the village. The village head decided to use this money to improve the lives of the financially struggling villagers. The villagers gathered around us, their eyes red-rimmed, praising us as kind-hearted people. Good person is a term that carries too much weight. I just did what I should have done.